I'm so excited about this question because it opens another channel of conversation, and that is the FIFA competition hierarchy and, of course, the controversy around AFCON. And this is going to be specifically talking about this statement where it says European teams are always careful with the number of Africans in their teams during an AFCON year. Like I always said, when it comes to football, it is about power. It is about money. It's always about the business, right? As usual, I have my book because I always like to give you 100% information, just something that I've verified. And then therefore, you do not have to take my word for it. You have the chance to go and research it for yourself. And in case I say something wrong, I'm always open to correction. Now let's dive into it. Now, FIFA operates as a hierarchy system for international competitions that determines when club releases players. And that is what we're going to be focusing on this particular topic on. This system has been the center of controversy, particularly specifically when it comes to AFCON, which is our major competition in Africa. There is a certain treatment compared to European championships that Africans are having a problem with. Now, this is where we call the systematic bias when it comes to African championships. Now, the official categories, these are as per FIFA regulations on the statute and transfer. This is RSTP, Annex 1. These are the categories of which player releases is mandatory. Again, I insist mandatory. So we have elite competitions, mandatory. This is FIFA World Cup, FIFA Confederation Cup, and Championship for A Representative Teams Championship. This is Continental A Representatives. So this is where I want to put my focus on. Now, this Continental A Representatives, where it is a must for teams to release players to go back and play for these competitions. We have UEFA, which is European League. We have Copa America for South America. We have AFCON for Africa. We have AFC, that's the Asian Cup. We have CONCAF, that's North America and South America. And then we have OFC, National Cup, which is the Oceanias. Now, even though AFCON falls under this Continental A category of where clubs are mandated specifically to release players to be able to go back and play for this particular championship, European clubs have consistently treated AFCON as a less than compared to UEFA and Copa America. One of the situations that really stood out happened between 2021 and 2022. And this is where there was a major dispute. And this is where, again, FIFA had mandated and regulated that all clubs release players on the December 27th of 2021. But European clubs actually went and lobbied in FIFA, where they successfully won the delay release until January 3rd. In 2022, this was the FIFA that was being held in Cameroon. Happened to start in January 2022 to February 2022. Now, one of the people who was really mad, of course, all of us were really mad about this situation, because then again, if there is a mandatory statement that says, hey, every single player from Africa who's playing in AFCON in their respective countries needs to be able to be released by the 27th, and then European clubs can easily go and lobby and say, no, we're going to release them on the 6th, knowing full well the championship starts on the 9th. What does that tell you? Even FIFA itself does not maintain the rules and regulations that it says. Because what happens if people were going to lobby for the release of either UEFA championship players to be delayed for that long before they were released? It's going to be an uproar. So why is it acceptable when it comes to Africa and AFCON? Now, with that, Europe Association Resistance, the EAC, literally sent letters to FIFA protesting that CAF had health protocols and threatened to withhold players. This was actually during the time of COVID-19. And at that time, the Africans came through and said, and especially for those who know Joseph Ball, he was like, the Europeans need to stop telling us stories. The virus is at home, but the French Championship has not stopped, and the English Premier League is continuing to play. They played yesterday, they played today, and they're going to play tomorrow. So why is it that suddenly you have a problem with apparent COVID-19 that is happening in Africa, yet in reality, COVID actually killed most of them than it did us. We were barely that much affected by it. But that was a reason of where FIFA decided to go into a decision with the Europeans and accept for the delayed release of African players. This is just one of the many scenarios it has happened. As it was brought up in the same, a key factor in this was perceived of the hierarchy of the tournament, whereby, again, viewership equals money. And for a very long time, AFCON has not been seen as a very high-ranking championship, despite the fact that we are in the same category with UEFA and Copa America. Now, AFCON is always set in January and February. Most people know this, either late December, January, or February. These are the times when we have the Premier League, we have La Liga, Series A, and all other major championships in full swing. Do you realize what it means? Viewership is equals to money. It means that we are literally losing money because we've been put into a category with such major competitions. Yet it's funny because UEFA and Copa America are scheduled between June and July when European leagues are not active. Therefore, their entire viewership situation is available because all these other championships are on break, so everybody is able to watch UEFA and Copa America. But when it comes to AFCON, we are literally put smack in the middle of the season. So now we have shifted viewership. This comes down into the bottom line of money, whereby because we have less viewership, that means we have less money. Because most times we are barely able to find a channel to watch some of these games. Again, it's systematic. That means that most of our views are able to go to the European side. And that's why we have such a high number of where it's up to 55% of Africans on the continent watch European football as opposed to local, because we are not able to find local football. Therefore, the broader systematic discrimination that we are dealing with isn't just on face value or something pretty small. Africa receives significantly less media attention than any other competition in that same category. The rest even go through as like we are put in the same category, but even the setting of our timings is very different. Therefore, we end up losing viewership. We lose viewership. That is commercial disparities, and also European tournaments demanding higher broadcast and commercial value. Again, if we are able to, Africa is a continent of 1-point-something billion people. If we are literally able to invest in our sports media infrastructure, of where if AFCON is playing, it's able to be shown globally on the continent, on local channels, I can guarantee you that January and December will be moved real fast, because then you're going to be removing a significant amount of their viewership from there and bringing it back home. So when we are talking about certain situations, always remember there's a bigger picture at play. And so when you're looking at European teams refusing to release African players for AFCON, you have to understand the hierarchy and where they have placed African teams and African players and African championships. I hope that was a good enough education lesson. See you next time.